Good evening, everybody. This is January 3rd, 2023, and I'm going to reenact a flight that we did today on the sim. And I like to do that to compare the sim to other things, to the actual airplane, I should say. And we had kind of a unique operation here. We were going to just run up and see if we could grab some fuel at Monroe, and they were 100 foot below minimums, but they were kind of bouncing around a little bit. And so we hopped in the twin Comanche and we got ready to head up there, and at 2,200 feet we were in sunlight. We were tucked into a little tight occlusion here, and low visibility and low ceilings, and the people that know me know that I like to go out and practice my real world IFR and real conditions. So anyhow, we dropped into the clouds about 2,800 feet at Monroe, and we went to the MDA there, and you could see the ground straight down, but forward visibility was nil. So we ended up taking, and of course heading back to Rockford, and Rockford was holding decent Cat 1 minimums all day, and as we were halfway to Rockford, they said that Rockford had went to Cat 2. And there really wasn't much traffic in and out of Rockford today at all, but there was a Hawker business jet, and they asked if they could vector me around, and it came in and landed before us and called a 300-foot ceiling. I don't know, something that fast, who can call that? It was really more, like they said, and lower. And I had my son Adam with me, and I like to take him on flights like this, as he's kind of looking back into aviation and deciding that he might want to take and maybe pursue it and finally get rated and stuff. And I want him to have the opportunity to see some of these conditions and how they look, and and basically, as an instructor, it's all about safety. Can we go out and take and look at these? Yeah, but we have to do them safely. So this was actually a missed approach. I'm sitting on runway 12 at Monroe here on the ground. I've got the simulator turned on to the actual conditions, which could be a little bit worse, but we're going to take a whack at this and see if it looks a lot like what we actually flew. And I just got a couple little things set up here yet. We want to go down there at 3,000, and they put you down there at 4 because the radios won't reach. So anyhow, we're going to take and get everything ready for takeoff, and we're going to take and I've got this program to go to Rudge and then shoot the GPS 7 in Rockford. So let's see how it all works out. And of course, this is my Baron 58 sim. There's the airspeeds alive, popping down the runway. Rotate. And you got a big old moon out there. You probably can't see it on the right hand screen, but we have positive. Let's get that gear up and get out of here. And one of the things that I've grown to like is in my childhood, we never had autopilots in most of the airplanes, and we just flew them. But once again, nowadays it's about safety. So what we're going to do is we're going to take and come up to our 3,000 feet, and we're going to Rudge intersection, and once I get it leveled off, I'm going to punch out the autopilot on this thing. But I'm going to give the autopilot a centered CDI before I do that. Down it comes to 3,000. We're quite a ways from Rudge, so it's not coming in that terribly fast. The old Baron's picking up speed now. And autopilot, nav, and altitude. Why is it nice to use that? Well, I can take my time setting my power settings. I can brief the approach, and it's never going to let me get out of position. Bring our props back. These big old Continentals, you can slow them down. And we're going to take and lean a little bit here so we don't take and waste a lot of money. Here, these power settings should be running about 15.5 gallons an hour and 58 bar. So now, there really isn't a whole lot to do except wait until we get in. We're 27 nautical miles out of Rudge. And we got to think about the approach. And, well, while we're doing that, let's go over and get the latest weather at Rockford. And 0506 knots, quarter mile visibility, 300-foot overcast. We've got landing, we've got Cat 1s now, I believe. Now, quarter, 1,200 RVR. Let's take a close look at this plate and see if we're legal to shoot this. 2,400 RVR. So, if it holds true to the actual current Mentor, which is being fed into the sim right now, this is a landing right at minimums. And it's a good old Baron, 180 knots over the ground. Not much to think about here. Still 23 nautical miles out. When I take and make the video up here, I'm just going to take and speed through the en route part of this. And as you can see, this is pretty realistic. The stars are out.
Chicago Rockford INTL information Oscar. 100 Zulu weather. Wind 070 at 5, RVR 2600. Sky conditions 300 overcast, temperature 6, dew point 6. Altimeter 2956. Arriving runway 07, departing runway 07. Advise on initial contact you have Oscar.
Notice our descent profile and that it's wanting us to get down for the approach here. What I'm going to do is let it go ahead and have the autopilot fly it, and I'll stay at 3,000. There's nothing said we can't intercept flight, so 3,000. What I'm going to do now is bring the power back, let the airplane start to get slowed up. One of the things on these approaches is give yourself time, slow up. 58 bearing about 15 inches of power, and watch our airspeed start rolling back. And since it can turn us onto the final approach course with such precision from a 90-degree turn, I'm going to let it do it. That's something that we'd wait, if we were hand flying that, we'd wait a little longer. Remember, you're on an approach now and it's a lot narrower, and it turned before the human would have turned the airplane. So be able to fly without the automation. I'll always turn some automation off on you, but if you're flying a lot, automation when used correctly is a safety issue. Look at our speed, came right down there. Barron's pretty slippery. I don't do this in Twin Comanche, but I'll throw the gear out and I will use approach flaps in the Barron. So it's got stabilized. Our glide slope is armed, so everything's looking pretty right now. My props are just a little out of sync, and that driving me nuts. And we're going to get on the rudder pedals and feel them a little bit. And decouple the autopilot, and it's my approach from here on in. Speed's perfect. Get that speed set to how you want to fly the approach. I'm a little fast, but it's barren, and it's going to be a little fast out here. Okay, glide slope's coming in. And be precise. Gentle, small movements, and keep it precise. That's always annoying. Anyhow, I don't know if it means we're in the cloud or what. Don't overfly the airplane. Airplanes like to fly themselves, believe it or not. You may not believe that at times, but it is true. So, we're at 3,000 feet, or thereabouts, cleared for the approach, and out comes the gear as we approach the glide slope, and on this airplane, out comes approach flaps. And what you want to do is get everything bracketed in tight right now, so you really don't need to take and make big adjustments. I mean, half a bar on the pitch is plenty to keep things under control. Might have just a slight crosswind on this localizer, but I'm not sure about that. And as I go to lose that localizer, just give me a little turn, work my way back to it. Go to lose the glide slope, just give me a quarter of a bar. It's the touch that's the secret to flying instruments. Bar change in pitch, little turn back over to the center line of localizer. Keep that thing just wired in there. You can do it. Quarter bar down. As the glide slope is going, I was going below the glide slope. Above it, I should say. Should I say below it? And it'll get a little touchier the further in you get. And right through here, you want to keep everything as tight as you can. If you start to lose it here, you're going to have to be looking for that runway in a different location. That's never a good thing. And you can walk stuff a little bit. I mean, you're probably going to descend through some wind shear anyhow. We're coming up on the bug. Our missed approach. Right here is where you know it does take a little more. Just keep that glide slope stabilized. There it is. Not very different. And then You don't want to fly in approach lights. A lot of people get in trouble right here. Maintain that glide slope best as you can as you're coming in through the runway. And I recommend flying it just about like a jet. Go ahead and leave the power in. Don't try to do anything radical. Like I just did there, ballooning this landing. But I'm a little hot. And I saved it. There you be. There's a Cat 1 right at minimums in Rockford. The simulator actually might have been a little easier to fly than the twin Comanche, and the only fact for that was the fact that I've been flying way more simulator than I have been flying the airplane. And also, it was a lot darker than this, and it was really hard to find the taxiway. So what I'm going to do here, and I should have did in the airplane, and it was rainy and shiny out and everything else. So I'm going to use, and I asked them if I could just roll out on 7 to the end, and they said sure. So I blew this thing way up here. So I'm going to pretend that it's not this bright out, and we'll take, and oh, I have my taxiway lights on, or my landing lights. And we'll do the same thing, roll out, but right now I'm watching the iPad for I've progressed down the runway. And it tells me I'm crossing 189, and we can see they're winding up continuous red centerline lights. But you gotta love these Cat 2 airports with these lights. They're just awesome. Yeah, when it's nasty out, it's hard to find the center lines on the sim sometime. Guess it's time for that mod on the twin Comanche with the light on the nose wheel.